So, how can you extend your answer? Now, what we're getting into now is really the key to your doing a great job on part number one. How do you extend your answer? Well, you can compare. I used to drive in Accra, but now I prefer public transportation because. Next, you can contrast details to extend. Yes, I do research on the internet. However, my favorite method is through books. So, give reasons why. I prefer dry weather as opposed to wet and humid because I have breathing challenges that require. Finally, you can combine and add details. Yes, I enjoy street food enormously because it's cheap. In addition to this, and then you finish it off. Extend your answers, everybody. That's what I want you to do. When you are speaking in part number one, extend the answer. Answer, extend, stop. Answer, extend, stop. Now, we're going to move on to what I said earlier was really, really important. Speaking from general to specific. To make sure you understand this, I'm going to give you 4 good examples of what I mean by speaking general to specific. I need you to do this in part number one, please. Example 1. What foods do you like the most? Pizza is my favorite food of all time. That's a general statement, right? Now, extend it with something specific. Not only do I love the cheese, but also the thick crusted bread, rich tomato sauce, Italian pepperoni, and an array of locally grown vegetables. Specific. Go from general to specific. Next example. Where would you like to live? I hope to relocate to New Zealand for future veterinary studies. If I can arrange the visa and employment after completing my degree, I will work in the hiking profession where I will have a peaceful and enjoyable life in the mountains, away from the crowds and the pollution. General to specific. Example 3. Do you like to watch television? First, we have the general statement. Answer the question. Every blue moon, I might check out what's on TV. That's a general statement, general answer. Then, get specific. Currently, the NBA is having its regular season, and if the Lakers are on, I might watch a couple of quarters if the game is interesting. Specific. And finally, example number 4. What do you dislike about your job? The element that causes me the most frustration are the working hours. Take last Tuesday, for example, where the boss insisted that the entire team extend the workday until 6 p.m., which caused me to miss my son's piano recital. General to specific. This is a really, really important concept, everybody. And when you're answering in part number 1, if you want to do well, this is what you have to do. Be able to go from general to specific. You'll notice that I was also paraphrasing the question as well. Now, we're going to move into more about really paraphrasing the question. Here, I'm just really focusing on paraphrasing the question. I'm not going to extend the answer. I'm just really trying to show you how you go about paraphrasing the question. So first, do you work or are you a student? I used to be employed, but now I'm learning the fine art of architecture. Did you ever live in the countryside? I've never resided in a rural area, but I wouldn't say I'm ignorant of the lifestyle there. What do you like or dislike about this place? I can come up with a few pros and cons associated with my current housing situation. So let's look at these three. Work, employed. Learning, student. Used to be, really good fluency tool to be able to give a nice extended answer. Rural area, countryside. Resided, live. Lifestyles related to countryside and living also. Come up with. Using these kind of phrases is really great. The phrases like come up with are the kind of phrases, idiomatic language that they really, really like a lot. Pros and cons, like or dislike, housing situation, and place. That's what we call the art of paraphrasing the question. Some of you may be saying, well, this is really difficult. How can I do that? It comes with practice. It's a skill. You have to really, really work on being able to do it, and it happens through practice. Do you consider yourself a patient person? Being a fairly even-tempered practitioner of meditation, I'd answer affirmatively that I can tolerate delays. Do you prefer to be busy all the time or not? I'm sorry, but I wouldn't select a lifestyle that required me to be constantly occupied or absorbed around the clock. Do you like to dye your hair? Certainly. Coloring my locks is an activity I adore because I visually appear to be someone new and exciting. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about understanding the art of paraphrasing. Paraphrasing, again, it means similar meaning or the same thought as the original. You're changing up the words, you're saying it in a different way, you're changing the word order, you're paraphrasing. Sometimes the object becomes the subject becomes the object. That's part of paraphrasing. So let's look here. Let's look at this one right here. Why is violent crime rising among teenagers? Why is violent crime rising among teenagers? We have the word violent. We can find synonyms for that. We can paraphrase that language. Crime, teenagers. And here is a student response. Brutal offenses are definitely on the rise among adolescents. In fact, numerous factors could explain this, but I would point towards a lack of parenting, violent video gaming, and poor schooling. Out of those three, I would settle on absent caretakers as the primary cause because that's who holds responsibility for refining morals and ethics in young people. Brutal, violent, offense, crime, adolescent, teenager. Paraphrase, 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 paraphrase. Right? Here we see some idiomatic phrasal verb language like point towards, settle on, collocations, holding responsibility, fluency language, in fact. Out of those three, fluency language, because helps you to extend an answer, right? This helps you with your fluency. Now, let's look at a poor answer versus a great answer. Is your hometown a good place? Poor response. Yes, my hometown is a good place. Now, that's probably going to be funny, and you might be laughing at that. But I've talked to a lot of students, and they answer this way, and then I check them on it. I say, well, why'd you do that? And they just forgot the time, the clock, the pressure. It makes people do that. So you have to really practice so you can avoid doing that. Here's a great response. Is your hometown a good place? Definitely. Most consider Shanghai to be a great city, but I would take it a step further and say it's fantastic. What other metropolis has water villages, historic sites, colorful nightlife, and excellent international food? Not many. We have a lot of great language here. Great city, good, fantastic, good. Instead of repeating hometown, just say this, just say the specific city. And then we have some great vocabulary: water villages, historic sites, colorful nightlife. That's all subject-specific vocabulary. Now, let's go ahead and talk about subject-specific vocabulary. What type of food do you like to eat? Here's a student response. I wouldn't consider myself a picky eater. I'll gobble down almost anything except mountain oysters or crawfish. On an average day, I might throw together a dish of stewed guinea fowl with a rich and creamy mushroom sauce. Then, as a reward for making such a fine supper, I polish off the meal with a decadent peach cobbler topped with delicious vanilla ice cream. I'll read that again. You'll notice here everything that's underlined is subject-specific vocabulary. Now, keep in mind, I'm really just trying to show you what I mean by subject-specific vocabulary. I would not expect you in your answer to use this much subject-specific vocabulary. If you're able to use 11 types of subject-specific vocabulary in one answer, then I would say you're probably one of those 9 students that I have. Okay? What type of food do you like to eat? I wouldn't consider myself a picky eater. I'll gobble down almost anything except mountain oysters or crawfish. On an average day, I might throw together a dish of stewed guinea fowl with a rich and creamy mushroom sauce. Then, as a reward for making such a fine supper, I polish off the meal with a decadent peach cobbler topped with delicious vanilla ice cream. Here's another example of using idioms in context. What are your plans after finishing your university studies? Here is a student answer. I've actually taken this into account. I'll start a crash course in Python coding as I believe it can be a valuable skill in my future profession. With the rapid changes in my field, I need to be up to the minute on all the latest advancements. To be at the top of the pile, I think it's necessary to go the extra mile. Again, I would not expect you to use all these idioms in one answer. I'm just trying to show you how these different idioms are used. Something else you'll notice is here it says I will, but when I was speaking I said I'll. That's because in speaking you use contractions, okay? You use contractions, that's what you do. Thank you very much for joining me in this opening. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next lecture where I'll be giving you some specific examples. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.